Trying a very popular panfish fly today. This is a fly called the McGinty, another bumblebee pattern similar to the one I did a few weeks ago called the Bluegill Bee. In this video, I'm going to show you a little bit different technique on applying that body of chenille and alternating from the yellow and the black that I did in that other video. This is using a black and white wood duck feather for the wing on this. It's a pretty straightforward little wet fly, not hard to tie, but a very, very effective panfish fly. That's the McGinty. I'll get started tying. Start the McGinty with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 33.99 in a size 6. You want a longer body, you could go with, say, a 96.71 little streamer hook, or if you even wanted a shorter body, you could go with like a 39.06B, which is a nymph hook. You can also put some weight on this if you want, underneath, if you want to try and weigh these down a little bit. My thread, I'm using a Danville 6/0 in black. I'm going to attach my thread behind the eye of the hook. Advance my thread down to just past the point of the hook, and now I'm going to tie in the tail. I've seen the McGinty's with a number of different tail configurations. Some of them just with some red hackle fibers like this, some of them even with some matched quills. Most of them that I've seen have some mallard flank in them as well as some red. So that's what we're going to do here. Is I'm going to take probably about 15 of these barbs off this rooster saddle hackle. I'm going to measure these about a shank length long. Because of the thick body, I like them to be, the tail to be maybe a little bit longer. I'm going to wrap down the hook shank, a few wraps. Trim away the excess there, and now I'm going to do the same thing with the mallard. I'm going to take probably about the same amount. I want to bring these out perpendicular so that the tips are even. Strip those off. If you want some with a little fuller ends to them, by all means use a different feather. I'm going to tie those in as long on top as long as the red. Working my way back down the hook shank here to the very end of the hook shank, and I'm going to trim these even. Now the body is simply some orange and black, not orange, some yellow and black chenille. I'm using a medium Rayon chenille. If you're on a longer hook shank, you're probably going to get 4 different segments. You'll get a yellow, black, yellow, black. This, I can only get 3, so I'm going to do a yellow, black, and yellow. I just want the yellow to stand out a little bit more. However, I'm going to show you a little bit different technique. A few weeks ago, I did a video on a fly called the Bluegill Bee, which also has a chenille body. It's a bumblebee imitation, similar to the McGinty, and it has a black and yellow body to it. And in that video, I would wrap in the yellow, tie it off, then tie in the black, wrap it in, tie it off, tie in the yellow again, wrap forward, tie it off. This one I'm going to show you a little bit different technique if you're interested in doing it this way. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of patience, but sometimes I find it can be a little bit quicker and a little bit neater in terms of the resulting fly. So I'm tying in the yellow and the black at the same time. Now advancing my thread 1/3 up the hook shank. This is where I'm going to wrap in the yellow and then terminate the yellow to do the black. But what I do is I bring the black forward. As I bring the yellow over, you could use your hackle pliers for this if it helps. Sometimes it does, just to further your reach. The idea is you have the black in, and you're wrapping the yellow over the black. So you'll get about 2, maybe 3 wraps in back here. And I would rather have the yellow a little bit more pronounced than the black. I'm going to secure that in, but don't. Actually, when I think about it, I'm not going to secure that in because I need to have my thread needs to be up here at the end of the body. I was thinking about how I did it on the other fly, and my subconscious apparently was going that direction. I don't have to secure that in because the chenille wraps over itself. So I'll wrap in one more wrap of the yellow right here. Then holding the yellow out front, I start to bring the black over right in the middle. Once I secure that yellow in with the black chenille, I can change over my hackle pliers. And now I alternate. I'm only probably going to get about 1 to 2 wraps of the black in. And again, I would rather have a narrower black band than narrower yellow. And that's just my preference. So I'm going to bring that forward like this, bring the yellow over it. Now I'll grab the yellow, and now I'll finish up the yellow. Just take your time. Like I said, it takes a little bit of getting used to. I'll finish up the yellow right here. Now I'll secure the yellow and the black in at the same time. You can just as easily tie this fly with alternating, tying in the yellow chenille, then the black chenille, and the yellow chenille, and so on. You don't have to do it this way. This is, I don't know, some might even say this is more of a weaving kind of thing, but the yellow can mask over that black real well that it wraps over, so you don't necessarily have to do it that other way. So there's a new way right there. So now I'm ready for the wing on the McGinty. Now the traditional wing is a white-tipped mallard wing feather. I do not have any of those currently. I have seen this tied with many different wing configurations. I'm going to use a black and white tipped wood duck flank feather. I've also seen this tied with just regular mallard flank as a wing. I've even seen this tied with squirrel tail as a wing. So think about that when you're tying these. You might, be open to trying different materials. Don't think you have to rush out and get this or the mallard, white-tipped mallard feathers. Maybe just use what you have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a wide slip from this feather, trying to massage that so my tips are somewhat even. They're still always going to be off a little bit, but now with the dull side up, I'm going to fold that in half, collecting those two sides together, and then that will give me a wing. I'm going to measure this. I want to go about halfway down the tail. It's going to kick up. You really can't get around that because of the chenille. I could trim some of that chenille back, even heat that and melt it back a little bit so that would be down a little bit more. I don't mind. This thing's going to be swinging through the water. This whole feather is going to get all dispersed and broken up, and meaning all the barbs are going to be separated and everything, so I'm not that concerned about it. Bringing my thread forward, I'm now going to cover up the butt ends, cleaning up the head space for our hackle. The hackle on the McGinty The hackle on the McGinty is just a brown hackle. I'm using a brown hen cape here. You want to select a feather where the hackles will come down to about the point of the hook. This one, these are going to be too short right in the tip, so I'm going to start maybe about a third of the way down this feather. Isolate the tip like I have here. Trim off the very tip so you have just a handle like that for tying in. Set that on the side of the head there. Secure that in with a number of thread wraps, wrapping forward to just behind the eye of the hook. I only need 2, maybe 3 at most wraps on this. It is not a thick, bushy collar. You can think of the McGinty as kind of like a panfish wet fly. I'll put one more in here, and then I will secure the rest of that feather. Sweeping all of this back, I will then proceed to start shaping the head. I had one little barb there that was not cooperating. Run my thread back a little bit to make the head of the fly. Give it a nice smooth transition. I can then pop that off. I'll flatten my thread here a little bit. You don't have to do this. Put in my whip finish. Probably noticing my thread right there looks a little frayed. This is an old spool of thread, and it has been breaking on me a lot, I think, because it's just old, and or rough hands are slowly fraying the thread there a little bit. So we'll put a little bit of head cement on this, and our McGinty is done. Again, if you want to, you can use different materials for wings. You could use some elk hair or something like that. Keep in mind, if you're using some elk hair or something, it's going to add a certain amount of buoyancy, which you may want. You may want a wing that's going to add a little bit of buoyancy, so this just drifts right up under the surface. You might want to put a little weight on it. You could use some sparse squirrel tail or something to represent the wing, and then it would sink a little bit faster. But there's the McGinty, a favorite panfish fly. A little bit different technique for applying the body than the Bluegill Bee. I hope one of those works for you. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vice today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. And what's important is to remember, only fly tying. You're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.